Hi, Makram. Hi, Makram. Great to have this show again and be able to talk like this. I feel like I'm in Dubai, even though I think I'm wearing a bit too much. Yeah, so I wrote this article exploring more in depth of what we're actually doing and like the vision that we are creating. Hi, Makram. Great to have this show again and be able to talk like. Okay. Uh, I think we did something with like the vision that. Yeah, I don't know what's going on with the. I'm hearing myself repeating like 30 seconds afterward. Well, yeah, I can't hear it now. Yes. All right. So I think now it's fine. I think the voice, I don't hear myself anymore. So we fixed something, I guess. Yes. I was talking about this article where I started exploring the direction where we're going with Ocean Point. All right. So I think now it's fine. No, it's not. I think the voice, I don't hear myself. What's going on? Yeah, do you think so? I mean, I think I had one Twitter window open and it was streaming while we were streaming. So yeah, I couldn't find it before. Yes, yes, exactly. Yes, exactly. Yes, exactly. So it's an exploration of when you're in the building of something, you sometimes don't see where you're going. So I really liked writing this article because it made me step back or zoom out a bit and just understand the implications of what we're doing. And essentially, I saw something that stands out, and I think the ability of basically becoming a or taking up a role of becoming a fund manager. I don't know. I'm sure that this is not a role for everybody, but essentially, delegating your vote to somebody who wants to do that is also as powerful, right? And today you cannot do it. Like the the world of fund management is reserved for people from Harvard, from the big universities, basically. That's where how you can get hired in such funds. While for the vast majority, it's not possible. Just like using YouTube enables us today to have our own show. I'm sure that no TV would take us. But yeah, but and I think this is something really cool because this does democratize. It's like anybody from anywhere can learn to assess assets to see what makes sense, what doesn't, and use their power, their voting power through the holdings of the token, of the DAO token, to kind of be able to use that and make certain decisions on how this develops. Um, and I think this is like a very powerful value proposition. Yeah. Yeah. Well, if you're an asset owner, if you already invest in real estate, somehow or in some time of your life, you saw real estate as a good investment. And if because you're holding on to it, you probably still think so today. By committing your asset and tokenizing and locking in into Ocean Point as a protocol, you're essentially earning your voting right in the DAO. That's basically what you're doing at this stage. Um, in a way, you are doing exactly what you're describing. Um, Not at first. At first, you are just basically you will be earning a portion of PST that is designed to be distributed in the next several years. Um, and that's because we are early on. It's early on right now. But once the amount of real estate assets in Ocean Point increases, and if you as an asset owner want to part of 10, maybe 20% of that asset, then you can diversify easily through the holdings of tokens of other assets, of other owners that make the same decision as you do. Yes, in a way, it is a diversification tool. But ultimately, BST as a token, because the revenues and the profits of generated by the pool of assets will be flowing into the buybacks of BST, can become like in a way an index token of the real estate economy in a way. Should should yeah. Yeah, I mean, both you and I, we own properties, right? In where, me in Ljubljana in Slovenia, and you own properties in Dubai. Now, you know what this means. Either you give up a big portion of this for somebody else to manage it, or you need to manage it, right? So, but even if somebody else manages the property for you, you still have different obligations because you hold ownership to it. So it is a much more, it is a passive income stream, but at the same time, it does take, let's say, I don't know, a month per year to deal with it. Um, and and by holding tokens, you absolutely don't need to deal with this because there's somebody else who's doing it. And in exchange for some liquidity, it gives you a stake in that property. So that's the exchange that is being made there. Exactly. Yes, exactly. I mean, it's you're able to choose where you diversify. I mean, with the REIT, usually what happens is you're just investing in real estate in a market, obviously, but it's so big that a REIT that you do have instant diversification, but at the same time you don't have any choice. While here, it's more like a customizable diversification where I choose where I put my money in. I know you, Makram, you know me. We trust each other, so we swap tokens. I get 10% in the same value, or I get a certain amount of tokens from you in your properties. You get a certain amount of tokens from me in my property, and this way we kind of, if things go better on one market, you still benefit from that upside, for instance. Yes, I hear you well. Yeah. Yeah. I think we even have one of the questions in our tweet asking exactly what you are asking now. Um, so benefit, if you hold BST tokens, imagine there's a pool of assets within Ocean Point, and that pool of assets is receiving revenues in DAI because they're generating revenue. Some of those assets might be revenue producing, like having lease contracts in place. Some of those might be construction projects that are basically increasing in value as they're being built. So the core is increasing in value, and you might have just assets that don't produce anything but just hold a certain value because they are unique. I don't know, the Eiffel Tower, for instance. And all those assets, that group, that pool of assets is producing something from the real world economy. And that is translated into stable coins, and those stable coins deposited in Ocean Point. And Ocean Point performs buybacks of BST to distribute rewards to those that make BST great. Now, we have liquidity providers, we have asset owners, we have BST holders, and all of those are providing value to Ocean Point. So in this way, that economy is being, shifted towards BST. It might be by burning, but it might be just distributing BST back to the community of those who are participating and providing value. So how exactly, which actions it will take at that point in time, let's say in 2-3 years time, when we reach a level where we can talk about this not as a future value proposition but as something that is real and happening, that's going to be in the hands of BST owners, of those who hold BST on a long term, which means they stake it in the governance pool, and they use as BST to cast their votes, and route the protocol in a direction where they see it will benefit most. Exactly. Exactly. So we want to inspire big real estate holders of big quality assets to take a leap of faith and come in with us, see how this goes. Be excited about the opportunity of becoming an important voice within the DAO. As something, I mean, one thing is you need to have a mindset and understanding. But most investors today, thankfully, know about Bitcoin, they know about Ethereum, they have looked at it. So even if they are in the real estate sector, they know that a market has grown out of it. And cryptocurrency is not something shady that you need to be ashamed or scary about telling on a party. But it's something that you can debate and you can talk about. I remember when we started doing this and people were asking me what we're doing, I was like not really communicating that confidently enough. But today it's totally different. And what I see is that if those who don't decide to go along, some will, and those that will have an upper hand. And if the others join later on, that's fine as well. I had just the other day, I had an amazing discussion with a big asset manager from the GCC region. Um, they are bright people, so they really understand what we talk about. So they, I think they are in a position where they can shift certain things. But the question they had is like, why should we be the leaders and move this along if we don't get the most out of it? But at the same time, it's exactly this. If you start doing it today, you will have the most out of it. And those that will follow later on, it's not just in terms of how much BSD you can hold at that moment or you can accrue in time, but I think of the understanding, the knowledge that you gain by doing it. And because we have this no risk value proposition at the beginning, I think this is something that makes people consider without risking too much. And yeah, it's true. Yeah, it's true. And that's, I think, one thing I'm excited about is we going in the direction of being able to tokenize assets that are owned by not just legal entities, but as well of individuals. Why? Because I think the the cryptocurrency market evolved because of us, not meaning you and me, but because of people who believed in it from the start and supported it. If at the beginning only corporates would look at Bitcoin, it would never grow into what it is now. Because even now, corporates, some, they look at it from afar, especially, Yeah, they have this understanding that this is something unique that we're doing, that there's no projects like Blocksquare and Ocean Point at the moment being developed. And I know as well why, because it's not an easy undertaking. Um, Now, if this will become the liquidity engine of real estate transactions in the future, I don't know, but this is for sure something where we tend to move towards. Um, all right, all right. So assets that we're looking to tokenize today, I think they are in the range from something like, it depends on the market obviously, but anything above €500,000 to maybe 3 million euros. So this is assets that usually owned by individuals, and this is something that where we need to have a one-on-one talk with somebody, and basically we need to have maybe 1-2 meetings, and if they are for it, they say yes, and if not, it's a no. For instance, we have a very, I'm just talking about the recent conversations I had. A medical doctor from Belgium. He owns several real estate assets in downtown area, mainly used for Airbnb, leased out short term, and some shops. And he owns those assets. He has as well geared them a bit with some loans, which is everything is fine, everything's stable, even throughout Corona, because of his position as a medical doctor. He's able to service those loans even when cash flows went down a bit due to Corona. But he's interested in what we're doing, and I really hope that we will see his assets included in Ocean Point, because they have a very high quality. They look really well, really good. It's a place where, if I would visit that city, I would definitely stay there. So, you know, Corona made. Exactly. Yes, I think this is going to like there might be some people who would buy into tokens directly. I'm sure there's a lot of them, but at the same time, I'm sure that a lot of them don't know that that's a possibility even. So even if they learn about it directly, then they basically then they just will start digging into it and trying to learn more and maybe not make that impulsive decision because it is an impulse to say, okay, I want to do this. So I think right now what will happen is just by tokenizing and locking in those assets into Ocean Point, creating this extra revenue stream for the real estate owners, I think that's already something that I don't know. I'm hearing myself talk again. Not sure what's happening. Yeah, yeah. I don't know. Did you change something? Oh no. Okay. No, I think now it's fine. Um, anyway, I was saying that the benefit will, for now, I think, go to BSD holders, just because of the perception of this, where this might lead. You know, on the one hand, we have real estate. Okay. On the one hand, we have real estate that is locked in the protocol. And on the other hand, we have BST holders. And even though those two parties don't really, or those two sides don't really directly have any economical connotations or linking at the moment, I think both will benefit from just being positioned there. And then in time, when we start linking them together, that will manifest itself even more. So, all right, let's take a look. Okay, I just received in 10 minutes ago, I think somebody wrote that only my audio was hearing and not yours. I'm not sure. Hope, yeah, hope it worked. So we talked about, well, there's a question about confirmed tokenizations. I think you will be seeing tokenizations that happen through listing them on our marketplace. Those who are active members in our community will gain early access to it so that they can follow the development of assets closely. And then we'll make it public, I think, once we have like 20, 30 assets under our belt tokenized there. Do you think this is a wise plan, Makram? All right. All right. Perfect. So let me check, and I think the next question is quite cool as well. So what's the status on version 02? And so, as you know, whenever you create a new smart contract, it's good to do an audit. We started collaborating for audits with a company called Haken. I think it's quite known in the DeFi space for its audit services. And that's a collaboration that's going really well. So we received already the first draft back of the audit, and things should progress as planned. So I believe that in about 1 month time we will get to version 0.2 for sure. Yes, the pool mechanics, we want to preserve them as with the BST staking, so that the user experience throughout the UI remains the same. So once you learn doing one thing, you can transfer that learning to something else. We want to also use this because it's a smart contract that is auto compounding, which means you know there's not much costs after deployment and after the user locks in their tokens in the contract, and it's an easy way to manage rewards. It's an easy way, especially when we see maybe 6, 7, 8 pools listed on Ocean Point.
I believe now people should be able to hear me well.
Okay.
That's why I asked you at that time, because I couldn't see my my audio in front of me. And then you said you're hearing me, but probably you were hearing me through NDI. You weren't hearing me through YouTube. Anyway, that's good. People didn't hear me, which is good. I tried my best, by the way, not to cough. Sorry, I have a strepsils in my mouth all through. But it worked well, yeah? What's the second question we have?
So, any planned expos events that the team is planning to be a part of soon? Makram, you were at an event this past 2 days, right?
Mm-hmm. I was at an event this morning and yesterday and the day before and the day before. Dubai is full of conventions today. There's approximately 2 a day for the past 2 weeks related to blockchain technology in general. When are we planning to be part of an event? We're part of plenty of events. We're speakers in some of those events. We have events planned which you will hear about very soon. And there's many. This is an event in my view. Now, when will we be part of expos and events that are specific for blockchain and blockchain related technologies? I'm not sure we do fit there perfectly, because I'm not sure we can talk we want to talk the talk. And Denis, I will leave you also to answer your side of that question. Yeah. I don't believe we want to talk the hype that they're talking there. And I'll give you a very small example. Today in the event, it was a blockchain summit, and it was me and my partner in GM Research and Advisory, which is one of my companies that does pure. It's a think tank. It's a blockchain think tank. This is the only thing we do, and we go around and we try to learn new technologies, see what's happening in the world, and we ask someone. I'll not talk much about the technology and the company, because then you'll know what company I'm talking about, which is not cool. He asked him, Fadl, my partner asked him, what do you believe what is the problem you're trying to solve? The first thing that gentleman have said, and he's a co-founder, so he needs to understand the ethos and everything around it perfectly. The first thing he said was, actually, we have contracted and locked in 100 influencers for the coming 5 years. They have 300 million people, and those are the people we want to target. So, 1 second. This is the hype, the bubble around it. But what's the problem you're trying to solve? And then he talked about the problem. And within less than 2 minutes, I asked a question, which I believe everyone should ask. Have his investors really asked him 5, 6, 7 basic questions that you should ask before investing, to understand that he does not really know his full roadmap. He knows only part of it. He did not think beyond the third question. Him and his team. And that's currently what's happening in the world around us. We're not part of that. We don't want to be. When we met and Denis said something to me, and I had the same in mind, which he said, you know what, you're interested in the fundamentals beyond the hype. So regardless if the market is hyped or not. 2018, the market crashed. You were still as interested in the technology, because I'm not interested in the changes in the blip of price that can happen overnight. Neither is Denis, nor is Blocksquare in general, and that's not what we run by. So for me, I believe that we do get our message through, and this is what we'll work more on with time that is passing, and we are working more on. But do we fit in that hyped scenario? I do not believe we do. What do you think, Denis?
Well, I remember the first 2 years after establishing, we moved a lot. I mean, I traveled a lot, like 2 times a month. I was flying somewhere to some place for one event or the other, and it was exhausting, honestly. So that's one thing that Corona changed a bit for me, is made me stay more close to home, and at the same time be able to communicate with bright people through you know through video chat, video conferencing. But at the events, I met a lot of interesting people as well. So my take from those events is you are able to create trustworthy connections, or people trust you when they see you in person, which might be bad when the other person on the other side is somebody who's not worth the trust. But we are worth the trust. So that's what I see why I'm excited about the world opening up again to conferences more and more. There was this hybrid period where it seemed to me not so important going to those events, because they were trying to do hybrids out of them, kind of allow online and offline type of events where most people didn't bother to fly and just stayed wherever they are. But I think that now we'll be shifting back towards more offline events where, you either go there or you don't. I just received notice from a friend of mine who's also in the startup ecosystem here in Slovenia. He's building a prop tech tool for city planning, basically. So they have a way to generate city plans. He was asked if he could gather up 3-4 startups from our region for Expo Real. It's not something set in stone yet. This is around Oktoberfest in Munich, but this is a type of event that is serious, where big asset managers, big asset owners are present, and where we want to go. We want to go there, create meetings with them, or schedule meetings with them, start talking about what we're doing, and hopefully in this period of time from today to there to at that moment, we'll be able to say, that's the amount of that's the value we have tokenized, and you're missing if you're not doing it. You should join us and try this out.
Let me ask you a few very fast questions that came on Twitter. What's the update on the Fibery winners?
So the Fibery winners are 4 companies. The company in the US, the 2 participants in the Fibery challenge, they had, I think, some differences afterwards, and we were really pursuing to move forward, to get them to start a marketplace, but they kind of I think they were not able to create a business together, because one thing is participating in the challenge and the other thing is then creating a business out of it. We have HeroX, which they come from the position of being a small developer. So they're developing this 4-unit townhouses near Melbourne. And so they've been focused on the what developers do, right? So now that we are quite in active contact with them, and I don't see any reason why they wouldn't start the token sale of those real estate developments, where, by the way, one unit will not be sold traditionally, but through the sale of tokens to about 20 investors.
Okay.
Then we have Bravo from Brazil. They have been very active at the beginning. Then they, I think, they saw this. There's a challenge from a legal perspective, and in a way, what happened is we temporarily stopped the launch of that marketplace. Unfortunately, I was really looking forward to working with them, but we received some new leads as well from Brazil, and I'm sure that we will find a suitable marketplace operator there.
Perfect.
And with Tokenisa, I'm sorry, the team I like the most, I left them for the end. Tokenisa from Spain, Moises, who is leading there, he's really getting what we're doing with Ocean Point. He sees this as something that can move the discussion he has with asset owners to provide them something different than tokenization, sale of tokens, etc. And with Moises, we've also started discussing how BST as a token will be used as a discount for them. So we have this fiat-based pricing price list, how much we charge for tokenizations, how much for the deployment of a marketplace. And what we're going to introduce is a way to discount those costs by basically holding BST and staking in the governance contract.
Okay, another question. Could you explain more on the legal framework for real estate owned by a nature person?
Yes, this is a good question. It's a good question. We want to keep the same framework as we have for the legal entity when tokenizing. So we have a legal entity that needs to own the real estate asset, executing something called a corporate resolution. So a decision by the shareholders to transfer economic rights to token holders. So that's how we tokenize real estate today. And we want to use the same method of the same process, the same way of doing this, but on the resolution, we will be adding the signature as well of the asset owner. Now, the asset owner will appoint the legal entity, in this case, a certified partner, to issue the tokens on their behalf. And on the other hand side, the legal entity will secure its position towards the natural person, the owner of the asset. So that, for instance, if the asset owner sells the asset off-chain to a third party, they, as the legal entity, can claim the funds owed to them because of that action.
Okay. Another question. Apart from voting rights, what will the benefits of holding BST in the long term be?
I think the shortest answer is you buy BST and you're exposed. You are immediately diversifying into multiple properties across different countries and different types. And yeah, I think this is the value proposition of BST in 10 years.
Perfect. So in other words, you hold real assets. This is what you have, and it's simply diversified through different markets, which usually you need millions of dollars to get to or to reach, yeah?
Yeah, I mean, you cannot exchange BST for an asset directly.
Sure.
It's not legally linked to a real estate asset, but the Ocean Point protocol ensures that any revenues and any gains that the real estate market is making go into BST on obviously a small sample, because we won't be tokenizing the whole real estate market, but let's say if we tokenize 1%, that's already a huge number, right?
Yes. Now, another question here comes into play. If I hold BST and I hold it for 10 years, will there be any benefits every quarter? Will there be any benefits every year? So will there be cash flow benefits, or it's only the growth in value?
With BST, it's only in the growth in value. It's a utility token that powers the system. So it's not a dividend-bearing instrument. And we want to keep it as such because we want to list it on various exchanges. We want to, make it keep it as a utility. I think that's the power of BST, as it's a utility token that has exposure to real estate. I think, and without really, it's not a security.
Sure. So if somebody wants to have access to cash flows from real estate locked in Ocean Point, what do they need to do, Denis?
If you want to have cash flows from real estate locked in Ocean Point directly, if you want to have cash flows there, you will, for instance, buy BST and stake it in the governance pool. And cash flows will be translated in BST and deposited as rewards. So you need to engage, not just hold BST, but you need to engage somehow. So that's what we have right now on the marketplace.
So even if though I can take
cash flows are not coming from real estate at the moment, right? They're just generating the supply of BST. But at the moment, that new supply will be stopped. And the only cash flows basically will be, the only distributions of rewards will come from cash flows of the assets. Also, you can provide liquidity. Let's say with the native stablecoin of the protocol, you can provide liquidity to it. I think there it's where most of the cash flows will go for a long period of time, because we will need to have very liquid stablecoin in order to be competitive. It will go, some of the cash flows will go as well to liquidity providers for BST itself.
So logically, if we hold BST, we would want to stake it, and logically, if we hold BST and stake it, we'll generate cash flows either in form of more BST that we can restake and multiply, or we can liquidate. And it's similar in a way or other. Yes, you do have cash flow benefits if you do stake, and those cash flow benefits will come in different forms, as well as the value growth of BST, and that value derives not directly from the value of real estate, but the value of the total real estate locked. Yeah? And
exactly.
The more BST gets burned, the more valuable every token is. Perfect. So, guys, you can have BST, hold BST today, and tomorrow morning you can have two kinds of benefit. One of them beats inflation through the ability to stake and earn more BST, and then restake that reward, and then you have compounding. And what is better and stronger than compounding? Denis, we still have a few minutes. Do you want to answer any question? I believe we ran through most of the questions that came on Twitter. Do you have any question that you would like to answer aside of that?
I would actually like to ask you a question, if that's fine.
Sure, go ahead.
Because you were showing me some of the properties in Dubai through images and so forth, and I'm really excited about tokenizing those and including them or preparing them for staking in Ocean Point. Can you tell us a bit about the situation right now, like in just the market in Dubai, what's happening? Because I think there's a lot of change happening, especially with Binance going and with their headquarters in Dubai. I think on both ends, both the real estate and the DeFi crypto world, I think there's big movements there, right?
Sure. I would define it this way. First, you have a very proactive government, amazingly proactive. They're really putting in laws and regulations and decrees by the minute that would fit perfectly to the future that we want. Yesterday, and it's not related, but in a way or other it is, yesterday they approved a law that allows crowdfunding for institutions. And that hasn't been there before, because that motivates startups and entrepreneurs starting new creative ideas. A few weeks ago, they did create a new law that regulates and that clarifies dealing with exchanges, licensing of exchanges, licensing of token trading platforms, licensing of all digital asset related holding platforms or companies. They currently there's a consultation paper that have been issued by the IFC that where they are seeking the knowledge and the views of people in the industry, talking about tokenization and specifically tokenization of real estate. All of those are happening in our city today. Everyone around is excited about it. You have a very buoyant real estate market, but more so, I believe that we will have think tanks, we will have the ability to have global organizations and startups jump into Dubai to start and be part of a clearer regulatory framework. Sorry. And this is exciting for everyone. More than that, and to talk about the exciting real estate here, there is such an influx of buyers from all over the world into real estate in Dubai. There is many challenges that will probably come over the coming few years. However, the region is full of opportunities, especially that all what's happening today in the world, with the exception of wars, because wars feed value into no one. But with the exception of that, all what's happening in the world today feeds value into Dubai and what Dubai is doing in the region and the region in general. Because of the oil price rise helps the region. The region is oil rich and is a major part of the economic strength. We have in a neighboring country, Qatar, the World Cup coming up. We have so much happening, and all of this is good value. The most important is regulating. The space is being regulated. More regulation gives more clarity. Companies can come into the space with more confidence. Companies can plan based on that regulation. And Dubai is nailing it there. I believe they're doing exactly what's required, exactly what's needed to sit up there on a global rank. Regardless of who started before us, we are accelerating at an amazing rate.
Okay, so to answer, I hope everybody hears you now. I had the call today with a company inquiring, just an initial inquiry, about opening up a marketplace with Blocksquare in Dubai, in the GCC region. What are your thoughts now about this situation? Is this something that you see feasible? Because when we started this, there was a lot of uncertainty around it. Do you think that now things are changing?
Sure. Now, I don't believe that anyone jumping into that today will be able to create so much commercial value to himself on the date. Yeah. However, that's the same when Amazon started. And when Jeff Bezos said, I want to start this brilliant company, they didn't earn day one, hour one. Neither did Tesla start earning day one, hour one. Nor would anyone starting a platform today in the UAE or anywhere around make money day one, hour one. Am I right, Denis?
Yes.
Expectation is that you build it up until you get there. Now, that's why many of the parties who didn't want to go into a commercially current non-viable situation went into alternative crowdfunding scenarios of fractionalization. But I believe the space is huge for tokenization and doing it properly because there's so much benefits. It's not only one benefit here on the table. So, sorry, and that's what people need to look at, and that's what people need to embrace whenever they're going for a platform. At the end of the day, utilizing Blocksquare's technology, you can launch a platform without excessive capex, and then you're a leader in a market. And if you manage your operations well and manage your exposure well, and go exactly by the rules of the book, you will get there, and you will get there soon. Now, will you get there today? Not really. Will you get there in 2-3 years? In how things are accelerating? Probably yes. Is it worth it to get there in 2-3 years? I do believe it is, because the first person who opened a property marketing platform a few years ago did great, yeah, and today they're a unicorn. There's in Dubai, there's, for example, Property Finder, and there's Bayut on the other side. For years, they fought and created so much value, but there was a classified website that was killing it. It's called Dubizzle. Today, Dubizzle is part of the same group as Bayut. Now, Dubizzle was killing it because they were leaders, and the only reason, and many people may disagree on that, but the only reason why Property Finder created the edge they have today, it wasn't the value they were providing, because they were providing value for years and they're amazing in the quality of value they provide. However, it was that Dubizzle, or the company that bought Dubizzle at that time, did big mistakes on the property side. So when you're the leader and when you have the leader's advantage, you do have a big advantage on everyone, an edge on everyone who comes after you. And that's what people who want to run platforms today should look at. I believe we went beyond the specified time. I leave the last word to you, Denis.
We did, but they didn't hear you for most of the most of the time. I think your microphone didn't work. I heard you everything you said.
We'll post the recording this time. We'll post the recording. So, look, we'll listen to the. This time, probably what we'll do, we'll listen to the live. If we found there's as much bloopers as last time, we will not keep it on for your convenience, guys. We will exchange it with a recording, which will give everyone more value. Because I believe many people who would go onto our live last time would not live to, to reach a meaningful start. They would die with the music and me and Denis chatting about, is it live, is it not live, are our voices live or not?
But what we managed to do is to cut that away without losing the live stream version. We were able to shorten. So now that part is gone. Those who were able to watch it early on, they enjoyed the initial bloopers. And today, I guess it's going to be the same situation once we finish up with this.
I'm sure. So thank you, Denis. Thank you, everyone. Do you have a last word to everyone for today?
No,
we'll see you in 2 weeks.
Look at this cool guy working with me. I mean, I think that says everything.
Thank you. The first person in the world to tell me I'm cool. My mother doesn't say I'm cool. Hopefully in 2 weeks you'll see us again, guys, without my stripsils and all my drinks. And this time, I believe we're gonna master it. Next time you'll not have any bloopers to see if you're live or any inconveniences. We really apologize for any inconveniences taking place. At the end of the day, neither am I a producer, nor that guy sitting beside me is a TV expert. We're doing our best to get the message through. We're doing our best to genuinely reach you with the right content of what we are and what we're trying to do. Again, sponsored by Blocksquare and Ocean Point. Thank you for being part of the brief session 2 of Block Chat. And I'm sure we'll see you in 2 weeks